Welcome to another UCL Fantasy video ahead of Matchday 4. This will be the best Limitless team. If you have any suggestions of your own, be sure to leave them down in the comment section below, and let's get this video to over 300 likes as we push on towards 16,000 subscribers. I think we can make some big progress this week, and we actually recently reached 15,000, so thank you very much to everyone, and let's get straight into this video. In goal, I would go for Manuel Neuer and Lunin, and the big news to really focus on is about Thibaut Courtois, and he will be available next weekend to face Barcelona in El Clásico. But in terms of the Champions League, Carlo Ancelotti spoke about this in Friday's press conference, and he even said it himself that it might be better if Courtois didn't travel away to Shakhtar Donetsk because it might be too much of a risk. So they're probably going to save him for the Barcelona game and he won't play midweek. But of course, that's not a certainty, but he mentioned it himself, and that is definitely a possibility. You'd expect Lunin to start here in Matchday 4, but then for Matchdays 5 and 6, Courtois will be the main goalkeeper once again. And as for Manuel Neuer, away to Pilsen, he kept a clean sheet in Matchday 3, and I could see the same happening once again. And with all the substitutions that happen around halftime by Julian Nagelsmann, it does put you off the likes of Musiala and Alphonso Davies, so I probably would just go for Manuel Neuer. I've gone for a very similar defence, but there's one key change here with Di Lorenzo, and he has been fantastic this season with the ball recoveries. He even got man of the match in a 6-1 victory away to Ajax, and now they're at home, and you'd expect Napoli to also win that game, and Di Lorenzo is looking like a fabulous option at just 5 million, and obviously that doesn't matter when it comes to the Limitless. And I've also gone for Ivan Perisic, who was rested in Spurs' 1-0 away victory to Brighton, so you'd be very shocked if he didn't start during midweek. Joao Cancelo speaks for himself. He got an 18-pointer in FPL, and he's been doing that in the Champions League already. He did it in the Premier League, and you'd expect more big things from him. And remember, with the Man City lineup, there could be a few surprises, but we get the lineup before the deadline at 5:45 p.m. So be sure to check the lineups before you finalize your team, and don't just leave that going by, because it's a really good thing that could actually make the difference for you, especially on a Limitless or wildcard. And then as a result, you can get these big players in who could make the difference. And then there's Trent Alexander-Arnold, who did a really good job against Rangers in a 2-0 victory. He even scored a free kick goal, and he looked very impressive in that match. Let's see how he does in the Premier League as well. This video is recorded before the Arsenal versus Liverpool game. And then we've gone for Carvajal, who has been good all season. Real Madrid didn't keep a clean sheet against Shakhtar Donetsk in Matchday 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did so in Matchday 4. But I have to say, Shakhtar are a decent team. And let's say, for example, De Bruyne doesn't start, or the other kind of big Manchester City midfielders that you really want don't. You could go for a double Manchester City defence with Ruben Dias and Joao Cancelo. So it all depends. There's also Guerreiro as well at home to Sevilla, who have a new manager, Jorge Sampaoli. So let's wait and see. But I think these are the 5 best defenders that you could go for in Matchday 4 at the time of this recording. One of the main points I'm going to make throughout all of these videos in Matchday 4 is the lineups that we get for Manchester City before the deadline. It's crucial, especially when it comes to players like De Bruyne, who was a big flop in Matchday 3. All of us brought him in terms of our substitutions on the Wednesday, and he got 0 points, and that was irreversible. And of course, that was a huge shame. But when he does start, you know what he could do. And I'm a bit concerned about him starting, because you got the Liverpool game at the weekend, and Man City are just gunning for that Premier League title once again. And with the Champions League group stages, they can afford to rest some players, including De Bruyne, as they should in Matchday 3. But we get the lineups. Let's wait and see. And let's say if he doesn't start, you can go for Bellingham. And you've also got a few others like Heung-min Son or another Manchester City midfielder instead. So you've got plenty of options there. But De Bruyne would be the ideal one, I have to say. And I think he could actually be the highest scoring amongst all these great midfielders. I've also gone for Mohamed Salah, who scored a penalty against Rangers and was man of the match in Matchday 3. And he was also in my Limitless team back then, despite him not really showing that much of great form. And he also got an assist in FPL recently. Of course, let's wait and see what he does against Arsenal, and I wouldn't be surprised if he hauled in that game. But I have to say, Salah is probably the best Liverpool option to go for at the moment, and I would actually rather go for Salah than Trent, because I trust Liverpool more offensively rather than defensively. But on a Limitless, you can go for both and not worry too much about it. You can take a few punts like this. And then Vinicius Jr. has been so consistent, and I'm maybe regretting my decision a bit to not just keep him on the wild card, and instead I went for De Bruyne. Obviously that backfired, but Vinicius is the best Real Madrid asset this season in my opinion, alongside whoever starts in goal for Real Madrid. And then Leroy Sané, I talked about captaining him on the first day last week and also in the weeks before that, and sometimes people kind of doubt these decisions, but I have to say, from what I've seen in the last year or so from Leroy Sané, especially in the Champions League, I didn't regret it. And of course, he came up very, very big, and he probably should have scored more points, to be honest. And he came off, I think, 1 or 2 minutes before the 60th minute mark. That would have been a clean sheet point, and also an extra point for playing 60 plus minutes. And he also would have had a good chance of winning the Man of the Match award and get 17 overall. So still a bit frustrating with him despite his 12-point haul, and I think he's another great option once again in every single match day, to be honest. And I could see him doing a really good job against Pilsen, and I still prefer him over Mane, who got 15 points overall in match day 3. And on a Limitless, I would go for him, but in terms of any other chip, Sane is the clear victor. I've talked about this front three across pretty much all of my best Limitless team videos this season, and you don't really have to go for these three specifically, because with Mbappe, for example, in the last few games, even in Ligue 1, he hasn't looked that impressive, and actually it's Neymar and Messi who are looking really good. But Messi has a bit of a problem. He didn't feature in PSG's 0-0 draw against Stade Reims, and actually that's the first time that PSG have failed to score this season, and it's no coincidence that that was the game, obviously, that Messi missed out on, and he has been the informed PSG player, so you could go for him if he's fit. You've also got Neymar, of course, but I still prefer Mbappe of the three. He's the most selfish, he'll probably get the most goals, and I think he is the best in terms of Man of the Match awards at this point. But you've also got Raspadori from Napoli, who's got 3 goals in 3 Champions League games, as well as an assist, despite his solitary goal in Serie A. So he hasn't been that good in the goal-scoring front in his domestic league, but he has been in the Champions League, and he was incredible against Ajax. Erling Haaland speaks for himself. The form he's in, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's already got 15 Premier League goals. He's an absolute monster, and in the Champions League, he's got more goals than games played for every club he's been at. And then you've got Lewandowski, who has struggled recently in the Champions League, and he should have scored multiple goals against his former club, Bayern Munich. Against Inter, he didn't really have an impact. He had maybe a few half chances here and there, but I would expect him to bounce back and perform really, really well. But once again, you can go for Raspadori and a few others, even Jutla, despite him facing Atletico Madrid away, and maybe whoever starts for Liverpool. But obviously, that's going to be really difficult in terms of Firmino, Nunez, or maybe even Jota. But whoever starts for them, I think, could do a really good job. I would go for these three, though, in my opinion. Let me know if there's any changes you would make to this Limitless squad. And I have to say, the forward line, we are always kind of blessed in Champions League Fantasy. There are so many options. We've got 7 players playing on the 11th of October, the Tuesday, and 8 on the Wednesday, the 12th of October. So there's a nice balance between both teams, and you also have triple Man City, and you get their lineups before the deadline, so you've got a bit of flexibility there, and I think the squad structure is pretty reasonable. In terms of the captaincy, I would keep it simple. I would go for Haaland as my captain in day 1, and for day 2, I would probably go for a Bayern Munich midfielder, so Sane or Mane. So let me know who you would go for in terms of the captains. I personally would go that way. You also got Salah, of course, and Mbappe to think about, but I would keep it simple and just go for Haaland and Sane in my personal opinion. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to over 300 likes, and let's keep on pushing to 16,000 subscribers. Thank you very much for all your support. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and also become a patron or a channel member. The links are in the description below, and we now have over 60 members in total, so thank you very much. And you can also check the Discord server. The links in the description below. The same goes for the UCL Fantasy League. I would love to see you join that as well. I wish you all the best of luck for Matchday 4 and the rest of the season, and I'll see you next time.